第一个问题就是，首先想请您介绍一下全球中小企业联盟这样一个组织，它的使命是你是怎样来看的
Yeah, the first question. So as the chairman, the global chairman of the GASME, what is the mission of this organization?
Well, I had to refer to my morning speech. This morning I was trying to convey to the audience the idea that GASME was established to strengthen the supply of global public goods. Public goods are those goods and services needed by societies to perform. For example, basic education in the sense of public knowledge, health, campaigns, justice, security, all those are public goods for national societies. I came here to share some thoughts with the audience today, with the small and medium entrepreneurs, to convey the message that a global economy also needs some global public goods. I mean, as a national society needs local public goods, a global society also needs global public goods. Let me give you an example. SMEs have suffered a lot during the last 2 years due to the international financial instability created by the financial crisis. That was a relatively minor problem, a problem that accounted for 10% of American mortgage market. But then suddenly became a full blow for the global economy. How did it happen? How did it happen? Why? Well, a minor problem became a world nightmare because now we are living in a global society, in a society with markets completely interlinked. And therefore, it is not enough that one government looks after stability at the local level. That will not suffice. We need institutions working in global stability to prevent precisely that the local problem affects thousands and thousands of small and medium enterprises all over the world. Financial instability created problems for SMEs. Created, for example, higher interest rates, reduced availability of working capital. And how that can be contained? Well, we need organizations like the Global Alliance on SMEs advocating the consideration of global leaders and national leaders on those subjects. The same is valid for environmental sustainability, for example, free trade regimes, or, for example, for knowledge dissemination. This is what we really need. We need organizations like the Global Alliance doing advocacy to governments and lawmakers, and at the same time supporting knowledge sharing, disseminating best practices, doing making meetings and interviews for small and medium enterprises with the purpose of allowing small and medium enterprises to participate in the global investment flows. So our role, the role of a global alliance, is to supply public goods to the small and medium enterprises to participate in trade and investment flows. We are here to help SMEs to participate in trade and investment flows.
Yeah, let me translate. So 他主要讲就是这样，他讲得很长了啊。那就是说，他主要讲就是说呢，他这个理解啊，这个中小企业联盟的这样一个使命，对吧？就是说呢，为这个整个国际的这个中小企业提供一个公共产品，就像一个地方的这个政府要为地方的这个人民提供公共产品一样。那所谓公共产品，包括像教育啦、交通啦、正义啦，对吧？这个卫生啦，对吧？这个环保啦，对吧？这样一些使命的话呢，对于任何一个地方的政府而言，他要对他所在的地区的居民提供这样一个公共产品。在一个全球经济一体化的情况下，对吧？需要有这样一个国际性的组织为这个全球的中小企业提供这样一个产品。那原因是什么呢？因为在这个全球经济一体化的情况下，任何一个国家都不是孤立的，对吧？像这个金融危机，发生在任何一个国家的金融危机都会影响到世界上其他的国家，对吧？所以需要有一个国际性的组织为全球的这个中小企业提供这样一种这个公共产品。 提供这样的服务。
那么全世界有这个上千万甚至是这个数以亿计的这样的一个这个中小企业，那么每一个企业的这个情况可能都是千差万别。那么作为一个全球性的这个组织的话，怎么样来克服这个这么这么大的差异性和多样性，同时呢能够使他们能够这个通过你们的这个企业的这个作用来把他们让他们能够至少是解决到他们的这个所需要解决的问题。
Well, the second question is, so I understand so the mission of the organization, right, try to provide the public goods, right, for the SME global-wise. Okay. But global-wise, there's millions of medium small-sized companies, millions of SMEs, right, and all those SMEs are different. Right? How can you provide a service to serve different needs of millions of medium small-sized companies global-wise?
That's precisely the reason why I talk about public goods. Those are goods that are available for companies working everywhere. I mean, if we do knowledge dissemination, well, everybody could benefit from that. Because my use of knowledge does not diminish your use of knowledge. Therefore, what you need to do is to be focused on the sort of knowledge to be distributed. Which knowledge would be necessary for all SMEs with independence on where they work? Well, they will all need to know market trends, for example. They will all need to know and identify shifts in market trends. For example, in the recent years, there was a new trade and investment phenomenon. For decades, investments flew basically to developed countries, from developed countries to developed countries. In the last 10 years, investment flows started to originate in emerging economies like China, India, and then moving to developed economies, or also to less developed economies. Today, 16% of total foreign direct investment comes from companies from developing countries and emerging economies. In 2008, that number was $300 billion originated in emerging markets. Only in mergers and acquisitions that were dominated always by major countries and economies, registered in 2006 more than $120 billion in transactions in developing countries. That means more than 1,000 deals all over the world. So what we do is not to go to each small and medium enterprise and tell them what to do. No, that is impossible. No organization will be able to do that. Not even the bigger organization of the world. What we could do is to give information, to disseminate knowledge that could be used by everybody. And this is what we are going to focus. So we do not pretend to tell SMEs which are specialized in different sectors, textiles, liquor, chemicals, auto parts, what they do with their business. They know what they do with their business. What we will do will be to tell them what is happening in the overall market, which are the market trends, which are the practices in their sector in some other countries, and how to profit better from trade and investment flows. That's the mission of our organization.
Let me translate. 他就说的话就是回答您刚才这个问题啊，说我们的这个联盟啊，就刚才你提的这个问题是一个很好的问题，对吧？那我们联盟并不是试图说这个能够回答，对吧？所有的中小企业是数以百万计的中小企业，每个企业提出了特殊的问题，对吧？这是刚才他所讲到的，我们这个联盟所提供的是一种公共产品，是一种所有的企业都需要的公共产品，比如说像知识的传播， 对吧？比如说这个大家都在做生意，都是全球经济一体化，大家都希望知道市场发展趋势，对吧？比如说前几年一个很重要的这个在投资方面发展趋势呢，就是说发达国家的投资，它还是投到发达国家，它并不是投到发展中国家，对吧？那么在过去的几年呢，那很多新兴这个国家的投资，像中国、印度，对吧？反过来又投到发达国家，就像中国，比如说投到美国去了，对吧？那这些知识呢，是所有的企业都会要引入，这就是所谓它这个公共的产品，所有企业都会要。他说这个具体到每一个行业，对吧？具体你是化工产业，是环保，是能源，是冶金，是钢铁，那这些企业最知道他们应该做什么，对吧？我们不可能试图替他们回答一些非常具体的，对吧？这个具有专业性的问题，但是我们可以为他们提供这种公共产品，对吧？像刚才所说的知识的传播，对吧？像他举的这个例子，对吧？这些这个服务呢，对全球的中小企业，不管它是做什么的，都是有用的。
我注意到您对这个发展中国家，尤其是新兴经济体国家在全球经济中所遇到的挑战进行了这个系统的研究。那么就想请您谈一下，一些这个就是新兴市场国家的这个中小企业，他们在全球化中可能遇到的挑战，因为他们可能资金实力，或者说他们生产方式非常传统，他们有可能在这个全球化过程中就被一些大的企业的产品就给吞噬掉了，就是他们怎么样来迎接这些挑战？
Yeah. The third question. Okay. So yeah, within the process of like a globalization.
Sorry?
So in the process of a globalization.
Yeah.
So the medium small size companies in the developing countries, like emerging countries, they're facing a lot of challenges. Something apparent like when they get into the global market or global like a bigger company, they also tap into their territory, right? Because the shortages in the like a capital, technology, knowledge, right? They're medium small size company in a disadvantageous position, right, in this global marketplace. So that's a challenge for medium small size companies in the developing countries or emerging countries. Right? So how would you recommend for this medium small size company emerging market to meet those challenges?
Well, what we'll try to promote is the participation of small and medium enterprises in global value chains and global production networks. The way in which we plan to address these different business models and the way companies relate to the process of globalization is basically by promoting their integration into the new global value chains and global production networks that allow